Taylor, we were talking about your upbringing and how, like, with that a lot of your personality is probably as much due to the fact that you had two younger brothers as it was to like how your parents raised you, perhaps. Because I feel like having two brothers, like you end up being in like a jokey, like silly, picking on each other and having a good time, and also like fighting and competing in sports and physical stuff constantly. And from your point of view, as like the older brother, like there wasn't a point in your adolescence where you didn't have a little version of you to beat the shit out of.
Yeah, that's true. But I also, not once ever did I ever hit one of my younger brothers. Like
Really?
I never pushed them down the stairs. I never punched them. I never kicked them.
You rolled
like,
him down a hill.
in a wagon. Like he was in a wagon. I didn't
totally
like,
different.
push him down.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that one up is because it's the funniest and most outrageous of those things. Because I can still remember holding one arm on that play school wagon thing that, like, you know, moms would like drag with their kid back there as they're going on their little walk. I still remember holding that, and I can still in my head, if I close my eyes, I can see my dad standing up there past the retaining wall too far away to stop me and saying, "Taylor, don't you push your brother down that hill." And I just went and just let go. And
It's funny.
he flew down the hill. Like, but other than that, like I did not pick on, like, I would like enforce things and do stuff like, this is what we're gonna watch for TV, like on TV. This is what we're gonna do. What are we doing right now? No, we're not gonna go outside. We're gonna play hockey in the basement, or we're gonna whatever we're gonna do. But like the actual hitting and stuff, I never did that. I was at a friend's house once when I was fucking 18 at a friend's house, and two of my friends were there. It was my buddy who was in my grade, who was my age, and then his younger brother who was in a grade two below ours, but we were friends with him too. And we were playing, what was it? Oh yeah. One of them was sitting on their PC downstairs and had his headphones on trying to play, the younger one. And I was sitting next to the older one on the TV playing Halo. And we were playing Halo, and he had the volume up really, really loud, like, it was really loud. And the younger one kept taking his headphones off and was like, "I can't even hear my game with how loud you're playing the Halo music." And my buddy's like, "Well, I was playing with Taylor down here first, so you can go play somewhere else. I can't move it. It's a desktop." And it went from that so quickly to like, "All right, Taylor, you play for a bit." He like goes over, pushes his brother on the chair, and like I expected it to be the way I engage with my brothers, where it's like, "Hey, just stop your shit," you know, not anything like that. He stands up and goes, "Ugh!" Like goes for like an immediate punch. And by the way, my friend responded with a parry. He had been there before. And so then I watched, and like it was like about to be dinner time, and we were gonna go up and spend time, like eat dinner with his family who were cooking for us. And I'm like, "Guys, stop fighting!" And his dad comes down. Like as the fight is beginning, his dad doesn't know. He can't hear. He just hears scuffling and whatnot. He doesn't know. And he's like, his dad has the deepest voice of any adult man I've ever heard in my life. He's like, "Boys, dinner!" And I'm like, "All right, time for dinner, guys. That means peace treaty until afterward." And so then my buddy pushes the other one down on this hard slate tile and then starts to run up the stairs. So I like wait for him to run past me, and the younger one stands up and runs like a fucking jackal, just poof, leaping like that guy across the fucking trampolines earlier I was talking about. And he grabs onto his leg at near like the middle of the stairs and yanks it hard to where the other guy, my buddy, slipped and did that thing where you like bang your body on the stairs and just boom, hit the stairs so hard. At this point, the dad has heard, and the mother and the mom's going, "Honey, don't yell at him. We're about to have dinner." It's like, "Boys, up here now!" The scariest voice. I'm like, I don't even live here, and I'm like frightened. And they had a boxing match, like fighting each other, wrestling, hitting hard, like a couple punches to the nuts. Heard like, "Can't hit in the nuts! Don't hit me in the nuts!" Like really offensive yelling shit. And the dad is at the top of the stairs. They are brawling in the middle of the stairs, and I'm standing on a lower step, wanting to go to dinner. And I was trying to like my frame of mind was like, "Oh, they're gonna get ripped a fucking new one for this." But within like 3 minutes, like it was over. Just the fighting had got out of their system. And then it was just eating dinner. And it was just a weird dynamic because I never had that. Like, my dad never had to come and pull me off my brother because I was beating him up.
Well, he didn't either. He just yelled ineffectively.
He yelled ineffectively, but he put the fear of God in them. They slowed down.
Okay.
So, fewer punches than would have been thrown. Yeah. Did you guys ever do you have any stories like that where you went to a friend's house when you were younger and you realized that the, I guess, archetype or framework of their family worked totally different than yours?
Yeah. I went to two brothers' house, and one of the brothers is my age, and the other is maybe a year, 2 years younger. And we were like 14 or 15, and so of course he's 13 or 14 or something like that. And we're down in the basement, like playing, and he had like all kinds of cool shit in the basement. Their dad had divorced the mom, and he was paying he must have been really pumping a lot of money into that household because a lot of it seemed to be going to toys and games. Because like the entire basement was it was the air hockey table and a pool table and a table tennis table, and then just toys scattered everywhere on the floor. And I was barefooted, and I was just marveling at all the toys. I didn't have nearly this many toys. And then I start noticing that they're like putting masks on and like getting swords out, and I don't think anything of it. And then I hear the lights turn off. It goes choom, and it goes. Now I realize we're in a basement. That's right. Just because there's carpet on the walls and sheetrock on the walls and carpets on the floor doesn't mean that this isn't a subterranean room where no one can hear me scream. And then I hear
a little skittering.
They've both armed themselves and put on armor. And apparently this is a game they play where they turn off the lights and have sword battles wearing Jason masks with fucking karate swords. And they're running past me occasionally, whacking me like in the back of the knees with a sword. And I keep trying to like lurch toward them, but they've got armor and swords. And I think they were going to kill me down there until their mom came to the top of the stairs and said it was chicken nugget time.
Jeez.
My parents.
Well, they didn't even give you weapons so you could play?
Oh, no. I think that was the best part for them was that they'd normally been facing off against each other in their armor. And here I was, a newcomer. I didn't know anything about the arms race that took place at the fifth toll of the bell. Yeah, they both seemed to know exactly what was up, though. They both had, one of them had a Jason mask on, and one of them had like this big, hard plastic Spider-Man mask that like clamped onto your head, and they both had like plastic katanas that hurt like a motherfucker.
Oh, that sounds like fun, though.
Yeah, I bet they had a great time.
Though, actually, no, I thought of another way I injured my brother. That was the worst way I injured him. It was totally on accident. So we were in our unfinished basement with obviously concrete floor, and we had a little TV, boob tube, glass screen, kind of old TV. This was probably like 1998 or so around there, 98, 99. And we were both playing this wrestling game, this like WWF or whatever it was called at the time game. And it was like every character had like special moves, like, special finishing move where he like grabs you by both your thighs and like slams you into the ground really good, or this guy will like Bowser you with with an ankle and throw you around, and it was fun. And so after we were playing that before dinner one night, we're like, let's play wrestling. We're like, yeah, should we play it on the carpet? No, let's play it on the concrete. The way they do in this game, like it's hardcore. And we didn't have that conversation, but we decided to do it on the concrete because we were dumb children. And I was like an enormous 8-year-old. Like I was a big fucking kid, like not just tall, but like wide, like a wide, broad, big kid. And my younger brother, was the opposite. He was smaller for his age. And so it was a big difference, like not that much in age, but quite a bit in size. And so we started like wrestling, like doing the moves and like practicing and all that. And I don't remember what the move was. I think it was the one where you like grab somebody around their waist and like lift them up and like smash them down. I don't think I got it all the way right because I was a kid. So it basically ended up in me tackling him and him, coming off the ground a little bit and then falling back and smashing his head on the concrete. And immediately, based on the sound that I heard, I was like, this is no longer playing. Like this has gone awry. And so my brother starts crying. I do what all 8 or 9 year olds, or however old I was, do. And I was like, shush, 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 be quiet. You want us both to go down? No, you have to convince him that like we're both in this together instead of me getting yelled at. And this is actually right after dinner. And after him laying there for a bit, like acting confused and befuddled, I like ran to the stairs. We were in our basement. I yelled up, "Mom! Mom!" I didn't yell "Dad" for good reason. "Mom! Come downstairs!" My dad heard, obviously, my panic in my voice, and they both come down. And they start talking to my brother. They're like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, we were playing wrestling. It's like, "On the concrete? You're playing wrestling on the concrete and you threw your brother into the ground?" I'm like, "I was playing." And they asked him, they're like, "What did we have for dinner?" Or like, "What's your name?" and he answered all the basic ones, like, "What did we have for dinner?" Like something recent. "What did we have for dinner?" We had just eaten spaghetti 25 minutes ago. And he was like, I don't know. I can't remember what we had for dinner. And my dad gave me a look of like,
He broke the most precious thing he has on earth. Like one of the kids.
Remember dinner, Taylor.
Yeah. You come in, get in the car, we're going to the hospital. And so that was the most scared few hours I've ever spent in my life, sitting in a room like, goo. Justice is about to come around. Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, that paintball's the best. No, we don't. Paintball's the best because like that was always the dream for anybody who played with Nerf guns as a kid. It's like, well, I hit you. No, you didn't. I hit you first. But now we've got a gun that fucking shoots balls of paint at 300 feet per second. We're gonna know.
That's why paintball's better than airsoft.
Yeah,
Cuts down on cheating.
Everyone says that. I've only played airsoft one day, and it seemed like it hurt enough that people would desperately want you to stop hitting them.
Nah, they wear like super. It depends where and how you're playing, but in my experience, like I've played out here in Atlanta in like the indoor close quarters battle airsoft, and it's like a gigantic room filled with like plywood like rooms, you know, like mocked up houses.
Yeah,
yeah, and you're just laning people just like shooting like that, and people are wearing such thick fucking army combat nonsense that like they don't care if you hit them. I went with fucking my paintball pants and a t-shirt.
I played in the desert, and that might have made the difference too. Like you would suffer in a whole different way if you were really padded up.
Yeah, they were so padded up. I was not happy with it, with like playing with them, because like everybody had this like they had like the big military bullshit knee pads and elbow pads and big like gloves with the like Kevlar knuckles on them and shit. Like they don't feel it. I mean, they could tell if they've been hit, but it doesn't hurt them enough to quit. It was hurting me enough though. Like you know, you're going room to room like you are, you know, in Call of Duty when you run right into the guy and you both spray each other down real quick. When that happens in real life, it is excruciating because we both have like fully automatic M4s that shoot 400 or 500 feet per second. And we just spray each other down at like point blank range until somebody lets off the trigger, and just it hurt. It really hurt.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Yeah, but yeah, I never liked that because of the cheating, and then laser tag just never really works for real. But so paintball's always been my thing for sure.
So you mentioned a while ago about horses in movies charging into like foot soldiers and just wrecking them.
Mm-hmm.
I have my suspicions that in real life that's not cool at all, right? Like picture I'm on a horse and you and your 100 people are on foot. I feel like I'd take out 2 or 3 guys as I plunge into the mass. And now I'm surrounded by people. My horse is freaked out. We're getting poked at with swords and spears. You're just going to your death, right?
No, those guys were like the height of military technology of their time. Like they're covered in armor. You know, the horse has got a lot of armor, and the guys they're attacking are those foot soldiers. You know, there weren't a lot of professional armies back then. A lot of times it's just some bunch of assholes out there, and he's just swinging that sword. And if he's a knight, like an actual knight, it's like the Spartan story we always hear. It's like Athenian. What is your profession? I'm a potter. And then he looks back, Spartans, what is your profession? And then, haru, haru, haru. It's like the guy on that horse, like that's all he's up to. Like it's just like Game of Thrones. The most realistic part is probably that those those noble born people like Jon Snow, you know, they've just been training with a master of arms their whole life. So when he gets up north the wall and he's like going ham on everybody, and the main guy's like, he probably didn't have a master of arms when he was 8. That's the first time he's ever picked up a sword, John. Maybe slow down. And John's like, fuck. I guess you're right. Shit, am I the asshole? It's like, yeah, you are. So I think
it's like if John showed up in like the pottery house and was trying to do it, and he's like, "Get it better, retard! Why can't you do it, retard, idiot, dummy? I wouldn't serve my dog milk out of that jar. Spill all out over the place."
Yeah, but you're right. You know, you're crashing into that line of people, which probably isn't that thick. You know, the line of people
depends on the line too, right? Because that's the problem. You get 4, 8 people deep, and now you're surrounded, and you've got an issue.
Yeah, it depends. You know, a lot of those. Every time we see one of those battles in a movie, it seems like it's like 20,000 versus 10,000.
Yeah.
But I think in reality, it was, you know, a lot of those battles was like, the English have 3,000 men, and the Scottish have brought 1,800. It's like, well, how? And by the time they spread the lines out, and they've got, you know, it's just a few thick. All that weight going that fast, it would be a crushing blow. I'm scared of horses. Like I've been around horses. They're frighteningly powerful when they're just like moving around you. You're just like, I hope he doesn't decide to murder me right now. He can.
What was that clip of like the camel, like just biting some guy's shoulder once and just throwing him over?
I
like
love
just
that
with
clip.
ease, just like get the hell out of here, dude. Just like bit his trap muscle off and threw him. Yeah, camels are powerful.
Are there any good UFC events coming up?
Max Holloway and Amanda Nunes are on like the next card.
My money's on Holloway. He's going to beat the shit out of her.
Unfortunately, they're not fighting each other.
There's Kuznetsov versus Hall.
You just made that up.
I'm just using hockey players' names. Dude, Dreisaitl versus fucking Agostino. Tell me you're not excited about that. Those names I almost made up.
I wanted to look up some like famous cavalry charges. With sabers drawn, about 600 Italian cavalrymen yelled out their traditional battle cry, "Savoir!"
Mozzarella!
and galloped headlong toward 2,000 Soviet foot soldiers armed with machine guns and mortars. It was August 23rd, 1942. The cavalrymen, part of the Axis invasion of the Soviet Union during World War II, were attempting to close a gap that had been opened between the Italian and German lines, the Italian and German armies along the Don River. It was to be the end of an era. Though experts believe that smaller and less well-documented cavalry charges likely occurred later on in World War II and possibly as late as 1970s in Rhodesia, they generally describe this as the last major charge in history. In closely packed formation, the Italian cavalrymen hurled themselves at the left flank and rear of the Soviet line, tossing hand grenades and slashing with their sabers. Despite heavy losses, they then passed through the line in a reverse direction and helped dislodge the Soviets from their position.
That's really cool.
They won.
They won?
They won. Yeah, that's a win.
Wow.
The final U.S. charge took place in the Philippines in 42 when the pistol-wielding horsemen of the 26th Cavalry Regiment temporarily scattered the Japanese. Soon after, however, the starving U.S. and Filipino soldiers were forced to eat their own horses. So that ended the 26th Cavalry's charging days. They ate their fucking
Should have
horses.
ended the story on the Italian victory.
Yeah, probably should have. Probably should have.
Yeah, man, imagine how upsetting it has to be one of those guys where you're like, are you shitting me? Like, I'm a tank guy. You want me to hop on the back of this horse and charge in with a saber? I'm going to get molested over there. Especially with those Russians. They're tough. They don't live on the Mediterranean and engage in mafia shit the way we do.
That's that's the whole premise of that movie, We Were Soldiers, with Mel Gibson, is like that was the first time the cavalry had transitioned, post World War II into the sort of the air cavalry. Yeah. That's a good fucking movie.
Yes.
When he tries to drag that guy off the battlefield and the guy's been napalmed and all the meat slides off his legs like a fucking barbecue rib.
Uh-huh.
Ooh. You don't heal from that.
I
No.
forget which one it was. I think it was his like gunny sergeant, like his second. He didn't have a gun. And they're like, "Don't you want a gun?" And he's like, they're going to be all over the place in no time at all. Fuck. Like,
If they get to me, it's over anyway. he just had that pistol. He had that 1911. That
did
guy's
he
a
pick
good
up
actor.
a gun and use it? I thought
Yeah,
that
at
sounded-
one point, like he was just
Yeah.
like, if I must, and like kills a guy. Yeah, it's a good fucking movie. Mel Gibson movies are almost always good.
My go-to chicken place, like I'm getting fried chicken, I like Church's, number one, and then
Yeah.
number two, probably. Honestly, I like Popeyes more than KFC or
Yeah,
I don't like
I like-
any of them.
I like KFC gravy a lot.
Lee's sucks.
Cane's.
Cane's not very good. Cane's is like they still fry the chicken in fucking peanut oil, and so it tastes very similar to Chick-fil-A. But I don't want chicken fingers. I'm an adult.
I always want chicken. I want the chicken part. And like you get like a drumstick or something like that. There's a half inch of whatever that skin crusty. It doesn't. It's just not the
Love
chicken
that.
though.
It is the skin.
It's all of these places take the tiniest little food, triple its size with their cooking process, and it's not the meal I'm looking for.
That's fried chicken. I like fried chicken a lot. I get.
Can I interest you in some George Foreman chicken?
Absolutely,
No.
you can't. I absolutely not. But yeah, Zaxby's is chicken fingers and wings. They don't do like bone-on chicken or the wings if you can't wings, but they don't do like drumsticks, thighs, breasts, and shit like that. But Zaxby's has some really good sauces and stuff, and their salads are great. That's what I'm eating later. I got one of those things in the fridge. They're tasty. But yeah, a little Zax sauce maybe. It's this orange sort of spicy. It's probably like mayo, ketchup, and some spices, honestly, but it's real good.
Pretty much every sauce they have in fast food is mayo, ketchup, and something else.
Yeah.
It's
Throw some relish and paprika.
That's
in
the
there.
McDonald's thing, right? It's like, a little Thousand Island maybe is part of the thing.
Yeah, the
Or
Big
is
Mac
that what
sauce.
ranch is?
I love Big Mac sauce. The Big Mac is one of my favorite burgers. It just needs more meat on it. I love the
Yeah.
Big Mac sauce though.
I found
I
it
mean,
to be too much bread. I had a Big Mac
Way
a
too
while
much
ago.
bread.
Yeah.
That's why the Whopper beats out the Big Mac, because the Whopper at least has a more appropriate meat to bread ratio, whereas the Big Mac is just eating a loaf of bread
Do you ever have the
shitty
Grand
ass
Mac?
vegetables. I've
So,
never had a Grand Mac.
For a limited time, McDonald's had 3 Macs. They had the Little Mac, Lil apostrophe. They had the
So
Big Mac.
funny
It's
thing
great that we have a gourmet on staff here who can explain the McDonald's
gourmand.
menu.
It's great how we cover each other's blind spots in a lot of good ways, and this is one of them.
I got you here. They had the Little Mac, and they made a reference to It's Always Sunny. There was a meme. It was like Little Mac, Big Mac, and Grand Mac. You know, like as he got fatter and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But the Little Mac was quite small, as you might imagine. I'd get a couple of those. Though you could eat a couple of them. The Big Mac we are all familiar with, but then the Grand Mac was a big fucking Big Mac, and that thing was the best. That thing was the bee's knees. I was a big fan. The cat's pajamas. It was good shit. I miss the Grand Mac. I've never had a McRib, and I never will have a McRib. Explain to me why it's shaped like a rack of ribs, but there's no fucking bones in it. No, thank you. That's a pink paste they put in a mold and go ka-chunk, and now it's shaped like a rack of ribs. No fucking thank you. I don't want your pink pork paste. Not even. I don't eat the nuggets either.
McRibs are horrible. I've had one ever because a fat friend of mine was raving about it, and I don't know why I took him seriously about his fast food recommendations. He loved all of it. And so, like, I tried.
What don't you like at McDonald's?
Yeah. What do you hate? The salad. But like it's exactly what you said. You take a bite into it and you pull off, and it's like it's not a pink. It's like a gray. Almost, it's like, what the fuck am I eating? This is at least 30% sawdust here.
Yeah,
and,
it's pork
and all it
based.
is it is doused with an inappropriate amount of barbecue sauce. Like I don't even when I eat barbecue food, I like my barbecue sauce a little more sparingly because otherwise you just taste all the sugar in the barbecue sauce and you don't get the meat taste as much. Like, if anything, I want a spicy barbecue. But on
I
the
like the
McRib,
vinegar.
it was clear that they were trying to pull the wool over your eyes by being like, all right, 5 slathers of this, and no, I can still smell the pink paste. Keep painting. that level of
I like
nasty.
that really thin vinegary barbecue sauce. It's like watery.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's the shit I like. Like if I'm eating like a pulled pork sandwich, I order extra cups of that vinegary, like spicy fucking like barbecue sauce, whatever it is.
What
It's
style
like,
of barbecue is like the vinegary one? Is that Kansas City?
ah,
I know Texas is beef, like they're and the smoking and
a lot
everything.
of brisket and sausage.
St. Louis is spare ribs.
I don't like St. Louis style.
Oh, I love spare ribs.
I had that just the other day. Like they have the burnt ends and stuff like that. They do.
You don't like burnt ends?
Nah, man. Like there's a place near me. Like there were 2 options on Postmates. One was
Get
Southern
outta here.
style, which is the best, and then the other was fucking St. Louis. And I was like, all right, let's try this St. Louis shit. And I was like, oh god, I don't really even like ribs. I like pulled pork and sliced.
Well, if you
pork.
don't like ribs, you're not gonna like St. Louis style barbecue.
I mean, it's
Like,
fine.
I
but
love
it's just-
ribs. I'm not supposed to
Yeah.
eat them because of my teeth, but I do. What's the closest? Because I mean, and this is probably just my perception of poker coming from movies and whatnot, but I'm sure you played lots and lots of games before you became a pro. What's like, has a game ever gotten really close or gotten to violence of people getting like mad at another person of like, you just stole 10 grand from me, and they get in a fight? Or have you never seen that unfurl?
In poker, there's a very weird correlation, which is as the stakes become higher, people are less like that. You'd think it'd be the other way. But when people play for a few $100, that few $100 usually really matters to them. But when you're playing with someone for $100,000, that $100,000 probably doesn't mean a lot to them, which is counterintuitive. But
No, it
I
makes
have
sense.
I've never seen that happen at the higher stakes games. I have on occasion. I've never seen a fight, but I've seen stuff get kind of close back when I used to play much smaller stakes. The closest that I ever got was I was playing in some underground games in North Carolina when I was I don't know, 18 or whatever. And I went to this one game, and this guy was really drunk, really, really drunk. He was a banker somewhere or whatever, so some rich guy. And I went all in, and basically the board had 4 cards in a row on it. So if you had to have the straight, you needed to have 1 card. But I had 2 cards, so I had like a much higher straight than the board than the person with 1 card. So he went all in, and I went all in, and he's like, I got the straight, and he shows the 1 card, and I was like, I have the higher straight, and I show the 2 cards. And he's real drunk, and he looks at me, and he's like, I have a straight. And he's like confused, and then the dealer's getting his chips to give to me. He's like, but, and then people are explaining to him why he loses, right? And then like it slowly dawns on him that he loses this pot, and he looks at me, and his wife's sitting next to him. He's like, you gave my wife the finger. You gave her the finger. And like the wife is like, and I'm like, wait,
Well,
what?
did you?
Not that night. No, I'm just kidding. Where did this come from? Like, and then he just started screaming. And he stood up, and he was like, people had to hold him back, and he was like yelling at me, and like, man, like that's the he was trying to come over to my side of the table and like fight me or some shit. I don't know,
And you're
Like
18 at the time.
18-year-old you,
Yeah.
right?
something like that. I was something like that. Yeah.
God damn.
But no, in general, people don't get into fights much, man. Like poker has changed. It's not about Wild West gamblers and like Texas hats, or they probably have a name, or any of this like West gambling world stuff. It's like the best guys are math guys. They're nerds. Nerds rule poker. Because it's a game about theory and game theory and pot odds and calculating equity. It's really what poker is how to calculate and manage your equity. That's
This
not
whole time, I thought it was making sure your cards are the same color.
that does help. That does help.
Have you ever seen a cheater get caught?
Oh, that's a good question, Go. There
No.
must be. I bet there's tons of cheaters in poker.
I saw a cheater get caught one night, and he was banned from the establishment. There was no violence or anything. There was some yelling, but there was no violence. And he tried to come back maybe a month later, and then there were threats of violence. They're like, no, you can never come back.
Where was this at? Like a
Georgia. This is like a VFW game.
What was the context of it? Like, how was he cheating? Do you know?
I honestly don't know what he was doing. I think he had a card that like hidden. I think
So-
he like
The most common form of cheating in poker is to mark a card so that you know what it is. And you always mark like the aces, or like if you're a slightly better cheater, you might mark the tens because tens make straights. But generally speaking, I know of people having got caught. Like there was this guy in the World Series of Poker a few years ago who played the heads up tournament, and whenever it was his turn, he would act real slow and like do things with his hands and shit. And like it's alleged he was marking cards. He eventually got like I think banned from the property, but no one ever for sure knew that he was cheating. So, it's tough. Like there aren't that many people in the game anymore that behave like that. There certainly still are people, so you should always be careful. And it's why I recommend people, if you're gonna play in like at a casino or place in like a public place. Like don't play anywhere risky. And poker is gambling, so you have to have your wits about you and understand that sometimes you're gonna get into bad spots. And I'm not saying you need a ton of street sense, but like a little bit. Like don't put yourself in bad spots.
I was thinking about joining the East St. Louis Train Track League, but given your tip, I will not go. I will not join that league.
Great games there, though.
Great games, I'm sure. Home of the 24-hour strip club. Yeah. Poker is just one of those things that I've never considered enough to even have that many opinions on it, but it really is like so much more complex than you think on the outside looking in. I don't wrap my mind around like all of the math you're doing in the moment. Like I feel like so many variables are unknown. Like what's in their hand? Like how do you even have enough to like solve anything? Or is it all just kind of educated inference? Like, oh, that guy, he made a face right there. I kind of garner from that he's got something or doesn't have it. Or
so you want to try to avoid doing too much, like looking at a guy and thinking he's weak or strong. There are these things in poker called ranges, and it's like when you make an action, it can be one of many different hands, and you try and then deduce what that range consists of. So, like for example, if I play a hand pre-flop and I want to play, I raise. That raise doesn't tell you shit. All it tells you is that I have a hand that I want to play. So it could be like an okay hand, it could be a pretty good hand, it could be a great hand. It's not going to be a really bad hand because I would just fold that. I wouldn't play that. But you don't know if I've got aces or if I have like 9-7 suited. I could have either one of those things. You disguise it, you blend them together. So good players are very, very strong at blending things together so that you don't know what they have. That's like how good players play. Bad players are very bad at that. They view things in like a good player views it as ranges, which are all kinds of hands together. Bad players view it as just a hand. I've got pocket jacks. What do I do? Okay, well, I don't like it when people see flop, and they start doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference. You want to start viewing it in ranges and then learning what actions mean, and then trying to figure out how to play good poker. And then for when it comes to using tells and stuff, like how someone looks or what they do, maybe if you're like on the edge between a couple of decisions, then you use the fact that the guy blinked twice or whatever, if you think that means something. But only when it's close, though.
And then as far as like calculating odds, I think maybe this is what you were talking about, Taylor. Like, what cards you have, those two cards, and then there's, what cards are on the board. And based on what's on the board, you can figure out what the nuts are, what the best possible hand that can be made is. And based on what you have and what's on the board, you can come up with some pretty accurate odds for your odds of hitting the nuts in many situations.
It's a lot of plates to spin at once for a game that people don't realize how complex it is. Like that, this is probably also super basic. When you said marking cards, how are they? I feel like poker players playing with fellow poker players would be like, oh, you clearly marked that card. You did something. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean like bending a corner or some shit?
It could be all kinds of stuff, but the thing is, the people who are good at it and thus not getting caught have developed different ways. I don't know, man. Like,
how do you mark cards?
So how do you mark cards? Like, is a little bend in the corner, a little mark? Like, I don't know. Like, I've heard that some people have ink they put on it, and then they have glasses that can see that ink that the human eye can't.
That's duplicitous as shit. I love it. That's really duplicitous. Good for them. If you're bringing lemon juice and marking your cards, and you've got your own goofy glasses, you deserve a win. Yeah,
I don't think so.
No, definitely
not
not
how
real.
you earn wins. No,
that's pretty funny. Yeah. The lemon juice bandit. People long wondered why these tables smelled of citrus, and now we know.
You're licking all the cards.
Mr. Polk had stolen $130 million before we caught him.
Hey, didn't Phil Ivey get caught up in some sort of Baccarat thing?
Yeah.
Last time I remember watching this little like maybe it was an ESPN thing or something, but they were following Phil Ivey around. Phil Ivey's a professional poker player who's very successful, and they were following him around. He was like going to these Chinese casinos in his private jet, like from one to the other. And I want to say he won like $9 million, like in like a very short amount of time. And he'd like win all that he could win, and they would like cut him off, and then he'd just go to another casino and win a couple million more. But it seemed like he got caught. I don't want to say cheating, but they said he cheated, didn't he?
So you're very accurate with your facts. That's what happened. There's two major incidents. There's one, I believe, at the Borgata for $9 million, and then there was one at Crockford's, which is a big casino in the UK, for like £8 million, which is actually like 1.1 or 1.2 million or whatever. Or sorry, 11 or 12 million. I mean, so this case, there's a lot of poker players that have different opinions on this, but basically. And there are some facts that we don't know 100% for sure, but basically he gambled at these establishments and found a way to know what cards were coming up through some kind of marking on the back of the card. I think he may have been bringing his own decks and asking them to use them. I think maybe he might have known the manufacturers, and so
that would be like my first move to cheat. Like, well, maybe I'll bring my own deck and tell them these are all aces, and they say property of Taylor. Yeah, I know. That's like, can we use my deck?
This die has all threes, and this one has all four. You want me to use these?
All I can do is report the news. So that something was agreed upon in terms of the deck they were using to where he knew the deck. So the deck was fine in terms of the right cards in it, but there were markings on some of the backs of the cards that he could tell when certain cards were coming. And he had like an accomplice too, which was some girl. I forget what her exact role was. But anyway, they went from casino to casino in the high roller rooms. And essentially, when they knew the card coming up was bad for them, they'd bet small. And when the card coming up was good for them, all of a sudden they would bet massive, like $100,000 bets, $200,000 bets. My understanding, it was in this vicinity. So they went to at least these two casinos, if not a bunch more, and used this method to win money out of the casinos. So then afterwards, when the casinos realized what had happened, I think one of them hadn't paid him yet. They held the money, and then the other one paid him and then went to court. But they both ended up in court, one in the UK, one in the US. And in both countries, he lost the case. Like he had to either pay back the money or they didn't have to pay him out. And in fact, the Borgata, they even tried to sue him for like his player comps while he was there, and like they tried to sue him for like everything. And there was recently another countersuit where they're trying to sue him for $30 million more or something. I know less about this, but saying that this is like they need to stop fraud, and in order to prevent fraud, they need to sue him for another $30 million. But I think it got thrown out of some court somewhere. But anyway, yeah, he ended up not getting paid out from that. It was for many millions of dollars. And the question in the poker community is like, was Phil Ivey in the wrong? I tend to think that the answer to that is yes. Like I think trying to exploit like a deck, whether it was
it seems like that's cut and dry cheating,
wait.
right?
The question is whether or not bringing in your own deck full of marked cards is wrong. That is a toughie.
Well, the situation is.
I'm serious.
My understanding isn't that they're marked. It's that there is a manufacturer issue where on the backs of the cards, they're not all 100% identical. So it would be like if
that's marked, by the way. That's marked. You're using like
anything that indicates to you that other people don't understand that that card is coming would be marked, right? Even if you didn't physically put a big X
I understand what Kyle's saying. It's not that he marked it; it's that he's aware of something subtle that happens in manufacturing. He has a deck expertise.
It would be like if Major League Baseball said these kinds of bats are all A-OK. But you found out that this one bat manufacturer, and that this isn't how bats are made in MLB, but let's pretend they are. It would be like if you found out, oh, well, this one's got a lot more pop to it, especially if you hold it like this, and you only brought that kind of bat, you hit some extra home runs, and they're like, oh, how dare you? You knew that there was a problem with this bat. And you said I could use the bat.
No.
I think a more fair comparison would be that they say, all right, you can buy from one of our 10 verified bat-making companies in MLB, and you go, hey, this little company that nobody's buying from in Honduras, all their bats are corked. Like all of them. Yeah, that's just like a stock thing for them. That's their selling point. We do cork. Yeah, so I'm going to buy one of those. And then you just hit with that, and they go at the end of the year, what the fuck? What are you doing? You've been hitting with a corked bat this whole year? And you go, yeah, but you said, we could use this. You see, and I knew it was against the rules, but I'm now going to play ignorant.
So we had one of those paraffin hand waxer things. You ever seen one of those?
Oh, but it's
put
you
your-
heat it up, right? And then you
Yeah.
soak
Yeah,
your
you heat
hand
it
in
up,
the warm
and all
wax.
this paraffin wax becomes liquid, and then you put your hands in it, and when you pull them out, you've got like this. It hardens on your hands, and you've got like this glove on your hands. And I had this idea: stick my dick in there, and I'll have like a masturbatory toy that's custom made for my dick, right?
But
Can you, how old are you at the time? Just to
Fucking
set the stage.
13.
my
13,
wax
okay.
thing was really hot.
Really hot.
Okay,
Way too hot. So I cranked this.
like
I'm home
burning-
alone. I'm home alone. I crank this bad boy up and get the wax nice and liquid. And I'm like, oh, well, what position do I need? It's on the counter in the kitchen. Like I'm not gonna American Pie this bad boy. I'm not getting up on the counter. So I sit the thing on the floor and I sort of get in a push-up position with a hard on,
As you
and
do.
I lower myself into it. And you know how like when you grab something hot, it takes a moment before you feel it. You know, like
Be a delay.
I was about 3/4 the way in before I realized I'd made a serious error.
Oh my god!
Were your balls at all in there?
The balls did not go. I think I was in one of those. The balls are an interesting organ. Sometimes they're hanging low, and sometimes they suck right up. The balls.
Thanks, I didn't know that.
Truly nature's mystery, the ball. Yeah. What secrets do the balls hold?
All right. Now I'll tell you this: my balls were smarter than my brain at this point because they knew they needed. They need to hide from this hot molten wax that
Why would you
slowly
do this?
lowered into like something from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. All right, remember when they're lowering them into the lava? That's what's happening to my cock right now. I shriek, of course, as soon as I start feeling that there's like 140-degree wax all over my cock, and I like roll off the thing on my back, and I start trying to like, pull the wax off my burnt cock. But it was painful for like a week afterwards, and I learned my lesson. I definitely learned my lesson from that. But I also one time I was having a video chat with a young lady, and she was doing some things for me, and she was. I was like, well, what would you like to see me do? And she's like, I want to see you fuck something. And I was like,
How old are you this time?
37, 39. This was earlier today, actually.
25. and so I'm like, well, all right, what the fuck? What am I gonna fuck? She's like, what do you got? I had a pumpkin. And I'm like, well, I have a pumpkin here. She's like, yeah.
Did you put like an emoji afterward, like coyly? Like, I've got a pumpkin here, winky face.
I swear to God, I put a sad face on that pumpkin because I thought it was funny. And so like I point this frowny face at the camera and I cut a hole in the back. And so I'm fucking the pumpkin and he's looking, it's a man pumpkin. This was gay pumpkin sex. And he's looking super upset about it. Wasn't that bad. I'm gonna say.
I would have
Did you
guessed
warm it
the
up?
crust of a pumpkin, the shell. I don't know what to call it. Not good for fucking.
Fine,
Okay.
I would say. Well, the outer part
Make the hole
very-
big enough, right? So that's not part of the deal.
certainly did. I'm rubbing around the edges, right? I'm making sure that that maybe the top of the penis is definitely getting some friction, but there's a lot of pulp on the inside of the pumpkin. You've dug out a pumpkin maybe
Sure.
before to make a jack-o'-lantern.
Yucky.
So I made sure to hit the pumpkin nice and low and sort of an upward position. So I hit the pumpkin's G-spot. I was hoping he would enjoy some of this, but they kept frowning. So I'm fucking the pulp now, and the pulp felt pretty good. I didn't finish inside the pumpkin because
I've
did
got
you do,
some
what did you-
standards when it comes to pumpkin fucking.
finished
I'll
on
fuck the
stem.
pumpkin's mouth, but I'm a classy boy who will finish on the outside of the pumpkin.
That's right. I'm not going to give this pumpkin a cream pie. I mean, we're making pie out of this thing tomorrow.
2-3 years
what
into
did,
our marriage, my wife and I bought these VHS tapes on like how to be better lovers, and there was a tape for him and a tape for her, and we watched our respective tapes. And one of hers was like, your man might like this. Buy a tomato, cut out the middle, microwave it, and you can jerk him off with it. And she shows it to me, and she's like, huh? And I'm like, So we haven't done that. But
there is nothing messier than getting beaten off with a tomato. Like what? How could that possibly be pleasurable? You're just thinking about all the laundry you're gonna have to do and the fucking steam cleaner you're gonna have to buy. Like, no, you shouldn't do that. But Kyle, I want to know when you saw the pumpkin after you'd closed the chat, after the night was over, after you had finished wherever you did, and you saw that pumpkin that you fucked, what went through your head?
I hope it doesn't go bad before tomorrow night.
Did you actually eat that pumpkin?
No, I threw the fucking pumpkin away. What am I, a madman?
Do you even eat pumpkins? Who eats?
Oh, yeah,
I guess
you can eat
pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin
what am I
pie.
thinking?
Yeah.
You know what? Pumpkin must suck serious cock as far as food is concerned because it's enormous. And what do people eat? Just pumpkin pie. What else do pumpkin seeds, I guess?
The
but that's
seeds,
a giant.
I want to say
giant vegetable,
Starbucks
I
has
guess.
a pumpkin spice latte. I don't know if any pumpkins are killed in the making of it, but it's a thing.
That's just a lot of sugar and artificial sweetener. I doubt there's much actual pumpkin. The pumpkin is the dumbest crop. If I were a dictator, I'd ban it.
Frankly,
except
I
in
love
cases of
pumpkin
fucking.
pie. Every time I have pumpkin pie, I just get a raging hard on. I have to finish right there.
Can you, Grandma? Do you mind could you draw a man's frowny face on my pumpkin pie? It's the only way I can enjoy it.
I need him. I don't want him to enjoy it. No.
Oh,
not at
I
all.
wanted to ask you about the wax removal too, because you went past that. So
Yeah.
like, I've done that with my foot before, where you like put. I also did. My mom had one of those like foot wax things and like hand wax things that we would do. And I remember I took I took a bunch of my younger brother's toys and dipped them all in the wax. and nothing ruins an action figure like being dipped in wax because you can't peel it all off. It's always
Or
there
a
in a little way.
penis.
Or a penis.
I'd like to
you know,
point out, or a penis. Both. Don't do either.
Don't dip anything other than your hands and feet in wax. Solid point, Asterios.
Yeah.
How did you peel the wax off? Did it come off in like a sleeve the way it does on the glove, or were you like tearing strips off your cock?
Now, see, for it to harden to that point, it takes a while. Like you dip in there and then you like let whatever you've dipped in sit for like a good couple minutes because it's got to cool down and solidify. So when I started tearing the wax off, it was still like a weird like liquid. It was still like a molten condition when I was just trying to get it off. So, I didn't have any, it wasn't that difficult or anything like that. But my cock was so soft and supple and hydrated.
Oh, I bet it was.
Yeah.
Did you kind of enjoy that part of it where you're like, man, this is the softest cock?
No, my cock was like red and I couldn't touch it for like 3 days. It was awful. It burnt the shit on my cock. It was terrible. It was an awful experience.
Woody told the story of the first time he ever came. I think I remember the first time something ever came out. And I don't remember how old I was, maybe like 11. And I remember going, like having it happen, being like, oop, guess I peed a little at the end there. And got up, went to the bathroom, saw, clearly not pee. And I remember, I remember thinking, like, should I go bring my like parents' attention to this or something? Like, should I like let somebody know that this happened? Like, is this bad? And I don't know what it was because I was always like a anxious little kid, like always wanting to like be sure of things. And I was like, no, you know what? Let's sit on this one for a while. I don't want to walk in there and go, Mom, Dad, I was tugging on my cock and this came out. They're like, you're 11. But
No,
I'm so glad I didn't confront
when I first figured out masturbation, I really enjoyed it, and I did it a lot. And I remember one day, I believe the number was 6, maybe 7 times. On the last time, little blood came out.
Oh!
Instead of cum, blood came out.
No.
And I was, yeah. And I was like, 7 is too many. From the early days of childhood up until now, it seems like it's been a rough road to hoe, right?
Yeah, mom was mentally ill. Dad was a raging alcoholic, kind of abusive. I ran away when I was 12, but I didn't just run away. I didn't just grab a hobo stick and an action figure and walk down the street. I walked to the freeway at 12 years old, hitchhiked to the San Jose airport from Northern California, called my mom, got on a plane, and flew to LA. That's how I ran away. I didn't fuck around.
You actually ran. What was this pitch that you gave to whoever the fuck picked you up at 12? Like, what did you say?
Dude, it was weird. I'm going to talk about it the next special after Marigeddon. I'm talking about this because I had more shitty things happen with my kids this year with the divorce. So I got home. I'd spent all this time with my mom. And the weird thing when you're a kid and you got divorced parents, it's like this game show. Everybody's playing a game show. Let's see what's behind mom. Let's see what's behind dad. Which showcase do you want? That's kind of how it works. So my mom and dad were kind of fighting. My dad didn't give a shit. My mom was mentally ill. He didn't care. So she had taken me on vacation to Idaho. We spent some time with friends. We came back. I'd spent all this time with mom. We went camping, which to my mom meant sleep in the car at a rest stop. She had this 1970 Chevy Caprice, and we slept in a restaurant. And you're a kid, so you don't think it's weird. You're a kid, so you're not thinking, oh, this is bizarre. No.
Mm-hmm.
So we did it and saw these friends, drove back to LA. My mom brought me back 2 days late. And it was a Sunday. I was supposed to be back on Friday because I had school on Monday. So my 8th grade year started. And he came home to pick me up at my grandma's house because they had to do the hostage transfer. Parents that don't get along do a hostage transfer. I talked about that before. And he starts going off in front of my grandma. And I had this little, this thing I'd gotten out of a gum machine. I threw it at him. And, man, my dad turned around. My dad was a big dude, 6'5", and he grabbed me by both my feet in one hand and picked me up and just wailed on me. So the next day, my mom gave me $20 in case I ever needed a call or anything. So the next day was my first day of my 8th grade year. I walked to the bus stop. I got in the back of the line to get on the bus. I let everybody else walk on the bus. And then I just kind of turned and started walking down the street. And I walked about a mile to the freeway entrance in Newark, California. Hitchhiked. This gay dude actually in a Chevy Chevette picked me up. And he was he was really concerned. He was like, why are you 12 years old on the freeway filming? And I made up this bullshit story. Like, the 12-year-old brain is so insightful and so great at lying. Like a monster. Yeah. So I said, oh, my dad has to work. He works really hard. And, he goes to work at 6. He just said, you got to go back to your mom's, go, hitchhike to the airport. No, I'll see you in a couple weeks. And the guy didn't buy that at all because he took me to the airport, got out of the car with me, walked me through the airport, double checked with the ticket people, and then walked me to the gate. And he bought me an Evel Knievel book. Evel Knievel is, you guys know what Evel Knievel is? You guys know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He bought me this Evel Knievel book, and I'll never forget that dude, man. He just made sure I got on the plane. He called my mom, made me call my mom so he could get on the phone. And I think mom, I don't know if mom told him the truth or not. And then I went to LA, and then the court battle started. And this was when they would let you testify. At 12 years old, I testified against my father in court.
Jesus.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
Yeah, they
Having to
thought
look
that-
at his angry eyes the whole time, like
he
darting
was just
over.
staring at me. Yes. And it was right around his birthday. So before the court date, mom would take me to the store and I'd got him a gift. And so then I testified against
3 to
him.
5, Dad. Here you go.
And then gave him the gift. Here, happy birthday, Dad. And I lived there for 2 years, and it was a nightmare. And the time I lived with my mom, we got evicted 3 times. A 12, 13-year-old kid should not know the sheriff by his first name. He would just show up and I'd be like, how's it going, Doug? Yeah, does furniture need to be on the lawn today or tomorrow? Okay. That happened 3 times. So then I moved back to my dad's house.
Jesus Christ.
So
That's
if
gonna
none
be
of
evicted once. That's
But if
horrible.
none of that had happened, if it had been just happy days from the very beginning, no mental illness, no alcoholism, nuclear family staying together, do you think it'd be as funny?
No, not at all.
Right.
I also think, here's the thing. I actually don't even think, like, someone will tell me, and people go, you're so edgy. And I'm like, I don't think I'm not edgy at all. It's just what's funny to me. My dad got divorced 6 times, and he was a single father, and he put me in situations as a kid where, like, I was just around adults all the time. So I had this weird sense of humor because adults talk a lot of shit. I never had kid humor, ever. I never had a childish sense of humor because my dad was always really kind of dark. And so I just picked up this weird sense of humor from him.